Look, Clarissa, I'm actually on my way out of here.
Dude, you're not gonna get anywhere if you don't hear what I have to say. Just give me a beer, go in for yourself. You're gonna need it.
I guess going into it, we knew that we needed to find more ambitious found footage ideas that would stand out in an interesting way. And I kind of immediately knew the kind of story that I wanted to do because I'd read this story online about a guy who had a camera implant in his eye. And that was a much more low-tech thing than what we ended up with. But basically I just told Simon that. I was like, Simon, let's figure out a way to do a found footage thing where a guy has a bionic eye camera, basically. And immediately Simon and I were pretty much in agreement that it should be like a ghost kind of situation. I initially didn't want to act in this thing, but it just quickly became obvious that with the complications of the camera rig and just the first-person perspective and everything, it's such an intimate kind of thing that it just made sense for the actor to be the camera operator. And I just didn't really know anybody, especially like in the time frame that we were looking for, that I could trust to do that. So as much as I didn't want to be acting, I decided it just made the most sense. So we just decided to kind of just make him a video game designer that just sort of ran into money, and he's not used to having money, so he's got this nice house, but he's got trash everywhere all over the place. And like going into it is kind of funny. The way we kind of helped develop the character in some ways was talking with the production designer Tom Hammock when we were going over what we wanted to do with this house, because when we got here this place was nice and pristine and laid out and everything, and we wanted to do something that texturized it in an interesting way, so, and also made sense to be a house for a younger guy that would look like me, basically, So in talking about it, I took Tom over to my place and I showed him what my apartment looks now, and we kind of came to the agreement that it would be a version of me if I just suddenly had millions of dollars overnight. And that was kind of the basis of where to start with the character. He's kind of a guy who's not used to having money, but now he has it and he's just kind of doing his thing, Oh shit!
Hi, I'm Gareth Evans.
And I'm Timo Tjahjanto, and we co-direct Safe Haven from VHS 2.
Based on the novel by Nicholas Sparks. The story of Safe Haven is about a documentary team in Indonesia that are investigating a religious cult led by Father, played by Epi Kusnanda.
And when our friends finally get into the compound of the cult, little did they know that Father himself actually has a much more
fucked up plan
for them. Yeah.
Here, hands up. The documentary team are going in with spy cams on their shirts in order to be able to get a sort of hidden access into the inner workings of the Paradise Gates.
This technically also allows us as a filmmaker to access not only just one of the characters, but several of the characters.
Yeah, and also kind of helped us in a way be able to answer that question in found footage of why don't they just put the camera down and stop recording. The process of having those button cams is so that it's constantly recording, and so the characters themselves completely forget that they're wearing them at times as well.
We kind of based it on several cults, but mostly we did a basic research about the Jonestown family cult. It's the biggest mass suicide that ever happened in America. I think the number was around 950 or something, and so yeah, we kind of roughly based it on that event, but we kind of made a whole fucking absurd version of that, I guess.
I think what was interesting about the development process for this project was the fact that Timo comes to it from a horror background, I come to it from an action background. When we were developing the concept, developing the story out, Timo played me this audio recording from Jonestown Massacre, and that was probably
Gareth went to sleep.
That was the single most terrifying fucking thing I've ever heard. We kind of wanted to be able to kind of tap into that level of fear and immediacy of being in there in that moment as that shit's about to start to happen.
The idea is to start the story slow, because we in a way we also wanted to make it kind of procedural, where we actually see how our protagonists they are capable and their experience in doing this sort of documentary, so they know what they are doing.
I think it was important for us to kind of feel like we could connect with them first and get to know them and get to like them before like all hell breaks loose. And in that last 10 to 15 minutes, we decided to just throw everything we could at the film and at the audience as well. So it was just a case of...
it's pretty much comedy at the end, right?
Pretty much comedy, yeah. But yeah, some of that stuff is really, really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of like came to it from a point of view of being, you know, in a country with pretty strict censorship laws, suddenly being given a project which would be screened outside of Indonesia, where we were told that there would be like no limits on what we could do. So I think we kind of took that and pushed it about as far as we could possibly take it.